More Riverside frustrations for Boro as the same old habits cost us points at the Riverside again. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Project Boro, and today I felt like I'm talking about the same topic, the same subject, the same outcome, the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm not even talking about this season. I'm talking about last season. I'm talking about this season. I'm talking about Middlesbrough Football Club at home at the Riverside, where once again we are the better side. We create the more chances. We don't give up very much. And you guys know the score right by now. We end up coming away with points dropped and points slipping through our fingers. And it was exactly the same again today at home to Preston, where Boro did actually what we were hoping they would do and what I thought would have set us well on our way to a solid, comfortable win, and that was get the first goal, get it early, and have control of the game, have the opposition exactly where we wanted them. But we weren't able to capitalise. We didn't really put the pressure on and turn the screw and put this Preston side away. This very average Preston side, if I'm honest, they were very, very poor at times. We allowed them back in, and once we did that, we resorted ourselves back to square one, to which we saw the same old script, the same old play over and over again in the second half, where we knocked on the door and simply couldn't find a way through. And, you know, it's the biggest thing for me, and the biggest blemish that is covering my optimism for Boro this season. I still remain, very optimistic about the team and the way we're playing, because we're doing so many things right in games. We're not performing badly. There aren't players dropping shocking performances out there. We're doing the right things. We're putting in decent performances. But the same thing is happening again as to what it happened last season, and that is our inability to beat teams at home, which we should be beating. It's alright like last season when we would beat Leicester at home and all the other top sides would come to the Riverside and we got 3 points. It's the teams like your Prestons, like your Portsmouths, who are going to be mid-table, maybe lower mid-table, teams who, with respect, Boro should be winning at home if we've got aspirations of getting ourselves anywhere near promotion or playoffs. And again, the same things are happening again. We are just struggling to convert all the possession, all the territory, all the good opportunities and the good areas we're getting into clear-cut chances, and then converting them clear-cut chances, and we just seemingly keep conceding goals from every single mistake we make. Every single tiny lapse in concentration or space that we leave, we're getting punished for it. And I know we keep saying the law of averages will suggest that Boro will start winning more games than they'll lose eventually, but it's just, as much as that, is maybe the logical way of thinking, it's just so hard after a game to keep sitting back and going, if we keep doing this, it will click. If we keep doing this, it will click. Things will fall into place. The wins will start coming, because we thought this last season and it just never quite come. And although I'm still positive that this team will come good and are doing good things, it's so annoying to see the same bad habits costing us yet again. So, Boro Preston then, the start was pretty good from Boro. I thought we started the game relatively well. I thought we passed the ball around pretty well. It was pretty obvious from the get-go what sort of game it was, and it was exactly the sort of game I was expecting it to be. Preston were sitting back, they were being very defensive, they weren't offering much going forward, they were playing long balls forward, which Boro was seemingly dealing with quite well. Thankfully, we got a breakthrough early, and it was a breakthrough which I thought would have had Boro well on our way, and it was a brilliant ball in behind by Luke Ayling, and this was something that was on all game. I'm really surprised Boro didn't try and make the most of this throughout the game, because Preston were playing relatively high, and it was clear to see that with Conway and Lath up front, we had significant pace advantage, and then even with Isaiah Jones as well. I don't know why we didn't try and just keep pumping balls in behind Preston to really cause them problems. There was times where we'd have the ball in midfield, our defence, and players would come towards the ball, we'd play it into feet instead of playing it in behind, and that's where I sort of, and I'm not going to go into performances as yet, but that's where I think Lath wasn't himself today. It was the perfect game for him and he didn't make enough runs in behind, and this goal was a perfect example of that working perfectly well. You know, Luke Ayling's ball was absolutely inch perfect. It was a cracking ball, dropped beautifully into Tommy Conway's stride, and again, I don't want to talk about individuals just yet, but Tommy Conway was outstanding today, and he took the ball in his stride. And, you know, given how many times this season Boro have got themselves into good positions, I still was not convinced, even though he was bearing down 1v1, that he was going to put the ball in the back of the net. But it was a very, very good finish from Tommy Conway. And you think, we're off. You know, we're off, we're underway. Like games of old against Preston where we went on to score 2-3-4, I was sat there thinking, right, let's put this game away. Let's put Preston to the sword. Let's really apply the pressure and get this game done, because I thought a second goal would do it. Would absolutely do it. But Boro took their foot off after that, and the game become very, very bitty. It become very flat. Boro were really slow and ponderous in possession, and we didn't create all that much. You know, there were a few opportunities that come from, you know, corners coming in and headers getting blocked, or loose balls in the box that were dropping to certain players. One dropped to Lath, who, you know, this time last season or back in the last season, he would have buried it, but he skied it over the bar, which was a pretty bad finish and a bit of a sitter from him. We had another one that ricocheted around Matt Clark, latched on the edge of on the end of a loose ball, which was blocked on the line by a bunch of Preston bodies. So, you know, we had a few moments, but Boro just couldn't capitalise and finish the game off, and that allowed Preston to sort of settle back into the game, and they had a few really good opportunities themselves, and a lot of them come from Boro's left-hand side in that first half. They had a ball that come in, fizzed in from the left-hand side. Neto Borges lost his man. If Potts, I think it was, connects with that back post, it probably goes in. I mean, it nearly went in anyway from the cross himself. And then there was another opportunity where Sam Greenwood had acres of space on the left-hand side when the ball was played across to him. He took a shot across goal, albeit from a very tight angle, which Sonny Dieng saved. So Preston still had their openings, but Boro really should have hammered home their advantage at this stage in the game. And that's what led to Preston's inevitable equaliser on the 43rd minute. And again, it come from Boro's left-hand side. A ball played out from one of Boro's midfielders. I don't know if it was Hayden Hackney or not, but Borges loses a 50-50 and is then completely out of position. Preston have pretty much a free cross on the right-hand side. No pressure on it at all. And then Frokar Jensen has the whole of T-side, pretty much. He has the postcode himself, all of TS1, to basically tap the ball home. It was a very good finish, to be fair. Very nice cushioned finish into the corner, but even if he didn't strike it first time as well as he did, he could have took a touch, could have took two touches. No one anywhere near him. He had acres of space to just waltz into the box, freeze a bird, and finished well. And that put Boro right back to square one. And that putting Boro back to square one basically reset the game as to what it was from minute one. And that led to the same sort of second half performance that we've seen time and time again. And I thought Boro were better second half. Preston had moments here and there, but it was one which, as we've seen against Portsmouth, as we've seen against Swansea, against Derby, was just a case of Boro, constant pressure, constant dominance in the Preston half, crosses going in, shots getting blocked. Nothing massively clear-cut second half, I would say. But again, you know, Preston were just able to defend the box as we've seen teams do so often. And I said this in my Project Boro preview show, you know, one of the big worries I had going up against Preston was that they had a lot of championship experienced players with a lot of know-how who would have just known how to manage this game really well. And albeit I thought the referee was absolutely shocking today, and you know, I think a couple of Preston players could have had more than just a booking at times. I think he bottled a couple of really bad challenges there, and I think one definite sending off at one stage from one of the Preston defenders with a tackle on Tommy Conway after he'd been booked. I think also Whiteman possibly brought down Dan Barlasser after getting booked as well. He could have been sent off. So there were a number of really questionable decisions where I don't think the referee had the balls, if I'm brutally honest, to make the big decision. But Preston, and as much as it was so frustrating for me being in the crowd as a Boro fan, and believe me, I was frustrated, they were just managing the game, breaking the game up. The number of fouls, the number of bookings, the number of bad tackles that were going in, it was all part of the Preston plan, to just constantly stifle Boro, stop us getting into our rhythm, defend the box really well, and make the game a little bit bitty, and that's what they sort of did second half, and predictably, as Boro have been all season, we didn't get the second goal. We couldn't break through once again, and that led to another predictably frustrating 2 points dropped once again at home, which is so unbelievably annoying. Looking to the Boro team then, having a look through the lineup, I thought once again, and this is a running theme, especially with our defensive players, I don't think I've pulled out many of Boro's defensive players for a bad performance yet, because we do not performing badly across the full 90, but we're still finding ourselves conceding chances and conceding goals, essentially. Dieng, again, didn't have any saves to make, really, yet he comes away without a clean sheet once again. I thought Neto Borges grew into the game, as I mentioned. I think a lot of Preston's joy come from that left-hand side first half, but I think that's naturally just down to the way Boro play on the left-hand side. I think he was much better second half, Borges, and limited them to pretty much nothing, albeit Preston didn't really get as far forward in that second half. We had Clark and Edmondson in as the centre-back pair. I thought they were both brilliant. Matt Clark, again, absolutely solid. George Edmondson, fantastic debut. Didn't look out of place at all. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Luke Ayling had a good game too, a fantastic assist from him. And then the midfield, we had Hackney and Barlasser, and I think they did all right, but we certainly did miss Aidan Morris, who I don't think has started because he got back from international duty from the US late, I believe. I don't think there's anything else looking into that, because he did come on in the end. But as much as I think Barlasser did okay, and Hackney was okay too, I think we did miss having Aidan Morris in that midfield too. I think him and Hackney's chemistry and their connections it's just on a different level, and I think Morris might have won the ball a couple more times and maybe helped us retain possession a bit better, but still, the midfield was okay. Did miss Morris. And then we had another different attacking three. Conway was in from the off here with Azaz playing on the left instead of McGree, who was back but on the bench today. Zaya Jones returned his place on the right-hand side. I think Jones was okay, didn't really get into the game or threaten all that much. Was a bit of a quiet one from Jones. I thought Tommy Conway was absolutely outstanding. He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Not only was he good on the ball, picking up good spaces. Every time he got the ball, he was driving with it. He was trying to make things happen, but he was also trying to, get to his teammates. When he would lay the ball off to one of his teammates, he'd be trying to pump them up. He'd be trying to, get the urgency going. I think everything Conway was trying to do was really, really positive, and I thought he was undoubtedly our man of the match today. He was absolutely fantastic. Azaz had a quieter game on the left-hand side. I don't think he's quite as influential as he is in the middle, but I mean, if Conway's going to take that position, then you've got to question whether Azaz is dropped out for Riley McGree, because I feel like McGree's better on the left than Azaz, but then Azaz is better in the middle, but Conway's come in and has just been brilliant so far, so there's a bit of a headache for Michael Carrick there, but Azaz was in and out, did a few decent things, but didn't have as much of an effect on the game as he normally does. Conway, as I say, man of the match. And Lath was not really in the game today. As I mentioned earlier, I was a little bit disappointed by Lath. I know there'll probably be a lot of fans reading into the narrative, and after the Ipswich deadline day saga, his head's gone, he's not in the right frame of mind, and this, that and the other. Listen, players are going to have bad games. They're not going to play 10 out of 10 every week, and it's way too early to be jumping to any of them sort of conclusions. But yeah, wasn't quite at it today, Lath. And as I mentioned, there was an opportunity. There was real chances to get him behind the Preston defence. I think Bergzorg did it within 10 minutes of coming on. He kept making them sort of diagonal runs in behind Preston's defence, getting us up the pitch. Lath didn't do that enough, which I was really, really surprised by. He did have a goal that was ruled out for offside too, it is worth mentioning, but Borges was offside apparently. It was a good ball in from Borges, that as well. Unfortunately, he was apparently offside. Were a couple of substitutes to speak of as well. Ben Doak made his Boro debut here, coming on for Jones in the 68th minute, and I'll be absolutely honest, Ben Doak looks so exciting. Everything I've heard, and I've held off getting too excited about Ben Doak until I saw him in the flesh, but everything I've seen and heard seemed pretty true. He is a traditional winger, on that right-hand side, not cutting in. He gets straight at his full-back, tries to beat him. He's quick, he's direct. he is going to be fun to watch this season, and I think will definitely have Isaiah Jones on his have him on his toes this season. He's got to maintain a good performance, does Isaiah, otherwise Ben Duck will be in this team starting, I can reassure you. Ed Morris come in, looked really good, wish he'd started, I really, really do. Bergzog looked good as well when he come on, posed a bit of a threat down that left-hand side within the small time he had, and Hamilton was sort of in the game a bit, but didn't really make much of an influence with the time he had left. So that was the team. The stats, as you can see, for the most part, Boro dominated. Again, the XG wasn't all that high this week, but we had 6 shots on target, 4 big chances, but again, only 1 of them converted. Preston scored from one of their only 2 shots on target. Same old story for Boro. Again, opposition sides coming, taking their chances, Boro failing to do so, and it's the same old script, and as I mentioned it at the start of the video, and I will mention it once more, it is something, it's a solution. The code we have to crack, the puzzle we have to work out is how we win more games at home that we should. It was the exact thing that I think cost us massively last season. Our record against the bottom 6, 7, 8 sides at home was terrible, and unfortunately there is nothing to suggest that it isn't going to happen again if we don't try and find the tonic to work this conundrum out. Nevertheless though, performances are still good. I'm just hoping we keep doing what we do away from home. We seemingly are a better away side, but yeah, home form needs to massively improve. Still a bit too early to look at the table in my opinion, but yeah, we look at Boro's home games thus far. Swansea we scraped by, having scored a penalty. Portsmouth, don't know how we didn't win that game, having a gazillion chances, and then again today, incredibly frustrating stuff. Hoping it will click, hoping the law of averages will suggest that this is a good side doing good things and we will get our rewards eventually. It's just a bit frustrating that currently, as things stand, we're not getting them rewards. So we'll see how things move on. Things do get tougher now, though. I was banking on Boro kind of winning both our home games in this spell. We've already dropped points in one, so got to try and make up for it in one of the away games we have, and we've got 3 tough ones coming up. The next one is at Sunderland, who did lose today at Plymouth, which was a huge shock, so maybe that's a slight kink in their confidence as Boro head there next weekend for the Tees Weir derby, which will be absolutely huge. That's going to be a fun one. We will be previewing that on the channel midweek in the Project Boro preview show, and of course reviewing it next Saturday after that game. Who knows what on earth might happen down the Stadium of Light. But thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, if you've listened on the podcast providers, then thank you so much. And if you're not aware, you can listen to these on the go on your chosen podcast provider. All links are in the description below of this video. But if you've enjoyed it over there, do give me a like and a follow and a rating on your chosen podcast provider. But for right here on YouTube, do give a like on the video and subscribe for much more Boro content to come. But most importantly, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether you're a Boro fan, Preston fan, or otherwise. What do Boro have to do to solve this horribly frustrating conundrum at the Riverside? And do you think certain players might have to come out, other players have to come in? What's your best solution for this really frustrating habit that Boro seriously need to crack and knock on the head, quite frankly? But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do take care. I'll see you all in the next one.